and anxiety, but nobody pays much attention to until really EMF radiation came in a cell phone. Then people have started paying attention to. But anyway, so there was a few study, and one of the remarkable study was it is a single one patient study, just like you were mentioning your own experience. But there are many people who have experience described like yourself. But in this case, this woman used to keep her cell phone under her bra, and after several years, she developed cancer of the breast. And animal study, nobody can do. It was done on the National Center of Toxicology in I think it is in a someplace in South, operated by NIH, and they did a very elegant study on EMF radiation and found, because some of the epidemiologists study in human found that there is increased risk of brain cancer. But in this case was found out that, but nobody believes. The epidemiology studies association rather than cause and effect. And so there was no intervention study. But in this case, there are a few cases where there was, in a way, intervention study, not well planned like placebo-controlled trial, because it is difficult to do in human, this kind of study, because you have to have a expose certain time, then go home, because it is everywhere. So it is just like environmental factor. It has become a part of the environmental factor. It is difficult to isolate one at a time. So we have to rely either on epidemiology study as well as an animal study to define the hazard and what we can do to reduce that hazard. And so
tell us a little bit more. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
What's
I
that?
think I'm going where you're at. I'm sorry for interrupting you. The EMF classifications of radiation, we have ELF, or electric low frequency.
Very low frequency.
Low
but
frequency.
It is independent, really. It is most of the study has been performed at 900 to 2000 to 2200
hertz.
Hertz, yeah, 2 hertz. And so it is much lower than, say, 5G, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And there has been a lot of 5G study in vitro, and they say the same thing, except it is much more extensive. And so, but in a human study type, nobody has done a study or on animal study. But from the low effect, you can extrapolate that 5G would be much more dangerous in producing this harmful effect. And so is the 10G. And so one of the protection that people have commercially sold, that some kind of metallic things to reduce the exposure. But that has a opposite effect, because the consumers and I think some US laboratory did the study and found out that actually if you have a shield, then energy needed, EMF radiation needed, you have to draw much more higher energy so that it can function. And so it has a counterproductive, because it will emit more radiation to your body than, say, if you don't have any physical protection. Unlike X radiation, it works. It reduces it. But in the case this one, physical shielding, it does not work, at least the kind of shielding that we are seeing right now. Because
right.
you have to remember that it is easy to block electrical effect by shielding, but magnetic effect you can't. It is penetrates. And it is a combination of both electrical and magnetic radiation. So,
well, and it's all the bees in the room.
Yeah.
It's now the fact that we have so many different devices that all run off of EMF and RF radiation, which is, that frequency is different. When we were talking about the low level frequencies, we were talking about very, very low to 300 hertz.
Yeah.
But when we speak about the EMF radiation, that is a different frequency altogether. That is from 1.3 gigahertz all the way up to 300 gigahertz.
Yeah, yeah.
And currently, our phones run at 2.4 gigahertz.
Right, right.
And in some places in the country, it's a little bit higher, but that's it. And there are really, the most important thing is protection. And there are ways that we can protect. Like I have a cover on my phone, but it doesn't cover the antennas, so it doesn't put out more radiation, but it protects my fingers and allows me to talk on it with. I usually talk on my headphones, but it does protect my hands a little bit from the EMF radiation. So let's talk about the introduction of this 5th generation. It's the latest wireless technology. This is straight out of your paper, which transmits a signal frequency range between, and it's you have 30 to 300 gigahertz. Right. But I think right now we're even a little lower than the 30 realm. But it's and we actually just increased it during COVID from around 1.3 to 2.4 gigahertz. So there are some places that are running higher frequencies, but we're not at this 30 to 300 gigahertz.
I know.
And it's alarmed many health professionals like myself and the public because of its impact on the increased adverse health effects in humans. There are some major differences between the 5th generation and the previous generations of technology, utilizing the millimeter wave technology, also called millimeter bands, or extremely high frequency, and higher frequencies than the previous generation technologies. The 5G EMF radiation can increase the risk of cancers, genetic damage, learning, memory deficits, and neurological disorders.
Yes.
Let's touch on that a little bit. And specifically, well, you go ahead and I'll interject at the end of that. So
no, main reason it is doing that. Not only that, non-neurological discussion is also effect on the reproductive system, and there is as you remember, at least epidemiology study, many young women had higher incidence of miscarriage than used to be in the past before the EMF radiation came into picture. Not only that, you have to also remember the EMF radiation also in combination with other environmental factors is further enhance the effect of each other. In other words, other environmental factor in your environment, pesticides, polluted air, and so on, they will further enhance the effectiveness of EMF radiation because this has become a part.
Exactly. One of the things that we've researched in Dr. EMF is the exposome. And the exposome, like in my case, we find that mold is a big precursor for people that are sensitive. We're all sensitive. We all are exposed to this. So we're not going to adapt to it. But some people, like myself, are feeling it and alarming other people about it, making people aware of it and educating people ahead of time. But in my case, I was diagnosed early on, like 2 years old, being allergic to mold and mildew and grass clippings and dust, and all kinds of environmental sensitivities. So then my parents gave me allergy shots, one in each arm, twice a week for 8 years, which is also an environmentally induced toxin. Lots of mercury and aluminum, among other things. And then just, where I grew up in Colorado, lots of sagebrush, that was an allergen, and the mold and the dust and all those things. And then my exposures to low frequency and high frequencies, mostly, and the RF frequencies, as well as 2 near electrocutions. One where I got zapped at home pretty badly, and one where I was very close to a bolt of lightning. All of these things have an effect, including concussions.
Exactly.
Which I was that kid that ski raced and mountain bike raced and landed on my noggin a few times, 6 to be precise. All of these things in our exposome have an effect on how sensitive and how soon we become sensitive to our electrical environment.
It is very interesting that you noted that, because the EMF radiation produce damage, oxidative stress, and inflammation. This has been established beyond any doubt. And then you can say with many other agents, environmental agents, like you mentioned, some of those agents in traumatic brain injury or any kind of health issue, where you have already existing high oxidative environment and high inflammatory environment. On the top of that, now you induce another one, EMF radiation. This will further enhance it. Not only that, but as you noted that the EMF radiation has some unique damaging effect, namely that it can cause vibration of charged particles in your body. And when they are vibrating it, and this is not the effect, X radiation, other kind of radiation don't do it. It is very unique of man-made EMF radiation, not the nature's made EMF radiation, man-made. One study was very exciting, the one I was reading about it. And so then you have an additional problem with EMF radiation, that you don't have this problem with any other kind of toxic agents. And so we have to be concerned that the question is how you propagate. So reducing, just like in other cases, reducing oxidative inflammation at the same time becomes very, very crucial.
Let's talk about that, because I've been through your studies in our science brochure, and I've read some of them that I've been able to get my hands on. But one of the most unique things about microdaily is that we decrease oxidative stress and inflammation at the same time.
Yes.
And now with the EMF formula, tell us a little bit how you decided to enhance the military formula, and why did you choose those ingredients?
Yeah, those 4 ingredients, as you know, curcumin, resveratrol, the green tea extract, and another one was, I'm forgetting the name, but
resveratrol, curcumin, quercetin?
Quercetin, yeah, quercetin. And the reason I included that, I knew that the other can do this job just without them. But when I read that these are specifically tested against EMF radiation, so I said, I don't know, maybe there's some unique thing, this property. And so I said, well, it is non-toxic, I will include them. And as you know, resveratrol and curcumin has many other biological functions. And that's the reason, because they have been tested exactly against EMF radiation protection. And I said, I will add it. And again, credit goes to you, because you are the one who brought up these kind of issues.
Well, credit goes to Jed
and my job is to research it, see if we can do anything else. And so now EMF radiation is fantastic. And the reason we say it at the same time, because this is important, that a single antioxidant cannot do it. Many people have always tried single antioxidant. But in order to decrease the oxidative stress and inflammation at the same time, you have to have an agent which can do 2 things. It can also increase the antioxidant enzyme, such as catalase, glutathione peroxidase, manganese superoxide dismutase. These are antioxidant enzymes, and they protect your cell oxidative stress by different way. And then you also have to increase at the same time not only dietary antioxidant that people think, but also endogenous, that your body makes antioxidant, like coenzyme Q10, glutathione, and so on. So it is very important to remember that at the same time. And micronutrient, because each antioxidant works in a different spot. They all neutralize free radicals, but they have also additional expression in terms of gene expression. And so it is important that our is the only product that can do and have been tested to do it in a human experiment as well as in the animal experiment, to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation at the same time. This is important. And now So that's why we recommend, you mentioned Kort 4 plus 1 or 2, think that I will,
3.
or 3. Yeah. And so here's the reason. So micronutrient that we have, they will reduce oxidative stress and inflammation at the same time. And another thing is that we have a probiotics with prebiotics, the second most important one. Go.
1 second. Okay, I love everything that you said about the EMF formula, but tell us about the patented children's formula, because it's also patented for EMF.
Yes,
And
yes.
how's it different?
No, it is only difference is the conceptually and ingredient, all ingredients are exactly same as in a EMF adult. But only thing we have done, we reduced the dose so that it is safe for the children. That's the only difference. The dose of each ingredient that we have added is low enough and effective enough for children 5 to 12 years of age. And so, and therefore we have also filed a patent for the EMF.
Right.
In the back of Omega, in the back of a gummy, because the lawyer was saying that, he said, well, you have all, he told the examiner of patent that you have already approved the concept. So here it is. So once you get approved one thing, that second thing is easy to get approval. So I would say within the next 90 days, we will get approval of a EMF for the adult as well.
Well, the children's gummy, it was difficult. I remember the journey that we went through trying to get the children's gummy made, and gummies are not easy to make. We found that out. Making it palatable and trying to cover up the flavor of curcumin is not easily
Not
done.
easy. Yeah.
But then drying it was a challenge as well, because you had specific parameters. You would not allow it to be dried over, was it 100 degrees?
Yes, it's something like that. Yeah.
Because it denatured the nutritional value of the gummy.
Yeah.
And so we finally figured out how to do that. And that's when the formula was finally created. And there's a lot that went into that gummy. And
I think, again, manufacturing
issue
issue that I'm not totally aware of, but I think the product that we gave formulation, and it is working with the children, including my own granddaughter.
Right.
They never get sick in the school. Other kids get sick, cold, infection. Children are very sensitive.
I was thinking the last time I went to a doctor, it's been a long time actually, until a recent infection, but it's been like since 2016 since I've been to a regular medical doctor. But let's talk about the probiotic. And is the probiotic safe for children to take as well?
Yeah, probiotics, only time it's children we recommend if they have some intestinal problem.
Like antibiotics?
Yeah, like they're getting antibiotics, exactly. But routinely, I don't recommend for children. But for older people growing old, say after 40, then the intestinal flora bacteria start changing to in a favor of toxic bacteria. And so then for adults like that, we will recommend it with or without disease. But if you have any kind of disease, this is a must. Whether you have cancer, whether you have non-cancerous diseases.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this or the laptop on your lap could affect the gut dysbiose?
Yeah, it will have
the
sperms, the motility, not only motility, but also it can generate mutation in the sperm, and that can have consequences to your children. And also, again, it becomes sometimes it's difficulty for women to become pregnant. And so there are all kind of effect on reproductive system, both in men and women.